Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Mikael Dia. Mikael is the founder of Funnelytics and a former agency owner. As a previous user of Funnelytics myself and a firm believer in the power of offers, I was excited to get Mikael on the show to discuss how agencies can productize their offerings. In this episode, we discuss how to make data-driven decisions in your marketing, how to better set client expectations through visualization, the need for specialization to develop repeatability, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by ZenPilot. There are lots of tools out there for agencies to manage projects, but any project issues aren't usually caused by the tool, they're from your own processes. ZenPilot helps agencies implement their project management tools while streamlining operations, so your team can move from chaos to clarity. You can see for yourself at zenpilot.com/forward. And now, Mikael Dia. It's easier than ever to start an agency, but it's only getting harder to stand out and keep it alive. Join me as we explore the strategies agencies are using today to secure a better tomorrow. This is Agency Forward. Can you give us an overview of how you're seeing kind of AI or automation being used in marketing agencies today?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're seeing that little tasks, like especially copywriting and just getting even design, et cetera, these things are getting replaced, right? It's very easy. In fact, I actually just recently hired, and we're testing this, a VA pod for $1,500, where basically for $1,500 a month, I get a full team, 8 VAs who are really ultimately leveraging AI to do my social media, my blog content, my SEO, my video editing, like all of the things that you need to kind of do that are time consuming, that normally you could be highly paid for. But now with AI, it's just simplified it so much that you could just ask VAs to kind of do it. So there's a couple of things that it helps agencies with. Number one, it helps agencies really streamline their operation, right? But then number two, it kind of forces agencies to no longer sell the deliverables and the tangible assets, but now to start thinking about how can I package these deliverables and position it as an end result for my client, right? Because otherwise, if all I'm doing is writing blog posts, well, you're going to get replaced very, very soon. So, yeah.
Right. Outcomes over output.
Always. You have to think about results. You have to think about how is that's why I like to tell agencies, always sell systems. You can call them funnels, you can call them, customer journeys, you can call them whatever the hell you want, but always, you could call it the growth engine. It doesn't really matter, but always sell the system that generates the end outcome that your client cares about, and being very, very specific as to what that outcome is. The more specific you are, the easier it is to convince your client that you have the right system for them. So, for example, if you're going to use let's say you're going after SaaS companies, well, make sure you say to them that your system helps them generate demo requests, because that's the terminology they'll use, right? Versus, consultations or appointments or something like that, right? So again, what is the outcome that your overall marketing strategy is driving?
And so I guess let's do a little primer on Funnelytics. Sure. And how the software actually helps people or agencies with setting that up specifically, like what you were just talking about.
Yep. So fundamentally, the reason we built Funnelytics is I wanted a way to visualize that system. I wanted a way to visualize all of the different marketing assets that we put together in order to drive the end result for this particular client. And typically you do that on some sort of whiteboard, right? We'll map our Facebook ads, and that goes to a page, and then there's some emails, and there's a follow-up, there's a sales page, and all of that somehow lands and leads to an order form and somebody making a purchase, right? Or whatever the end outcome is. So I would map this out on a whiteboard, but then in order to look at the results, to look at performance, to understand, is this working or is it not? You have to log into like 15 different platforms. You have to build some spreadsheets. You have to play with Google Analytics, which is a nightmare. I personally rather bash my head against the wall. So to be honest, you kind of have this cool little system, this cool strategy laid out, but then you can't see the results. So what Funnelytics allows you to do is combine these two things together. So you have this visual whiteboard that allows you to map out your strategy and show your clients, this is exactly what we will do for you. This is exactly how all of these pieces, all these blog posts, all these pieces of content, these articles, whatever we create is there to drive an end result. Now, one of the cool things you can do with Funnelytics is you can actually forecast the profitability of this system. So I can say, if we spend this much on these ads and on organic SEO content, and I can add my own agency costs, and if these are the numbers and the conversions we hit, and this is the revenue you make per client, hey, check it out. It's profitable or whatever. But of course, a forecast is only as good as what happens when you compare it to real data. It's just a forecast. So with Funnelytics, I can now pull in all of that data using our tool and pull it all onto that same canvas. And you can start to see really what is the performance of that system.
Yeah, the forecasting feature is going to be a game changer for a lot of agencies using this. I was a Funnelytics user when running an agency, and it was awesome. So like we mapped out basically everything we were doing for our own brand. And what was great was that at one point we had a prospect come to us. We had a series of videos on the site for like different pages, and they like followed the perfect buyer's journey.
Right.
Like usually people will jump around, but this was like, they did exactly what we wanted them to. They came to us and said, I loved that experience so much. I want you to build it for me.
Nice.
And we were actually able, in like some of our discovery calls and everything, right, pull up the actual like mapping of what we did and show them like, look, this is how we did it. And like, this is how it's converting. This is what's going on. And they were just like, their eyes just opened up.
You know what, the easiest sale in the world I've ever had to do when I was running my agency and I had the first kind of version of Funnelytics was I would actually show, like I had a similar process. I didn't have a 3-part video series. I just had kind of a core VSL, and but I would show a prospect this map of how he came through my funnel. And in Funnelytics, you can look at an individual user. So I actually would pull up their name, click on it, and then it would show me the exact path that this person took. And as soon as I showed them that, I said, look, this is what we're going to do for you. And then they're like, done. It's done. It was the easiest sale ever, because they're just like, oh, you mean you're going to show me how I'm getting customers? It's what they want at the end of the day.
Right. And so the level of kind of depth within the data that you're able to go now can really define that strategic direction, right? You're taking for everything. Like if you have this mapped out and you can actually see the numbers, you can make quick decisions on like, hey, this isn't working. We can prove it because we have this many visitors, and this is where they're actually branching off.
Yep.
Right. You can actually within Funnelytics, you can even see the nice green lines versus yellow lines that are moving around, showing you, where the traffic's actually going. How much do you think, or I guess, man, I don't even know how to phrase this question. Like, I feel like agencies aren't using that level of strategic insights to be able to kind of make the decisions that they need. They're not looking at the data at that level to be able to see like, oh, wow, I should actually scrap this entire portion of my funnel and focus here. Is this something you're seeing as well? It's probably different since you literally have the software to help people not do that. But I guess, what's your experience?
Yeah. Here's the biggest challenge that agencies face. As an agency, my job is to grow my agency, even though the service I'm rendering is to help grow your business. So it's always this balance that you're facing as an agency owner to either spend time optimizing somebody else's business or spend time optimizing yours. The thing that I find that happens with most agencies is that if everything is green for a client, I'm just going to leave it, right? It's green. We're moving in the right direction. Things are moving and they're progressing. The problem is then something goes red. and then you get in trouble, but you're not on top of it. So now you got to backtrack and you've got to basically figure out what went wrong, what do we need to fix, etc. And that's when people start to kind of think about this. The agencies, what we try to teach with agencies is this continuous plan, measure, optimize cycle, right? So you plan out your strategy for a client, but instead of thinking about selling them another plan, think about stacking optimization as your core retainer, right? And optimization maybe also includes sending traffic to that stage and whatever, but to that funnel or that system or whatever it may be. But by having optimization as one of your core line items in your retainer package, what it does is two things. Number one, it tells your client that no system is perfect and it will require continuous optimization, right? It may not work today when we first launch it, but because we continuously optimize, it will improve it. Number two, it puts you in the mindset of, instead of trying to always do more, it's always about just refining this one system that fundamentally works. However, it may not be working right away, but it keeps you on top of your numbers. It keeps you on top of, hey, like, how are these performing? What are we going to tweak next? What do we try next? Right. And it just makes things so much easier. So that's what we try to teach agencies. But yeah, I mean, there's so many agencies who want just a simple dashboard. Or like, we got you 10 leads this week and we got you, 15 purchases or whatever it may be. And it's like, it's not helpful. It's helpful at the very beginning when you're telling somebody, look, here's my, weekly report. This is what we've got. But it's not helpful when you need to dive into the strategy to understand, like, how do we get from 10 leads to 20 leads? How do we get from, whatever, right? And that's where I think most agencies start to crumble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to echo the sentiment of optimizing. So like, something we did a lot of was, well, we were doing we're a web shop, right? We were doing a lot of web development, but then we'd also offer some growth marketing services on the back end. But part of that was like, if you're building an entire website, right? We've scrapped everything you've had before. We're building you a new site. Like, we're taking a guess. Yep. Right. Like, we don't know. Like, we're going to do our best guess based on industry knowledge. Like, we're asking you the right questions. We're going to do the best copywriting and design we can. But like, we really don't know. And so once we launch this thing, the market is going to tell us if it works. Yep. And so like, really the only logical next step is to optimize what we've built so that you're not having to do what most companies do, which is like put a site up, wait a year to 3 years, and then put a new site up. And then it's like, that's not going to get you the win. But if we can continuously, just improve everything. Totally. Now you actually have a chance.
Yeah. And another thing I find agencies make a big mistake around is, and actually, like, as our forecasting tool really helps with this, and we're continuously making it better because it's really important, is people assume that I'm going to have a $10,000 a month marketing budget or a $50,000 a month marketing budget, and I'm going to make my money back tomorrow, right? So like, I'm going to spend 10 and I'm going to make 30, and that's going to happen within the first 30 days, right? No, it never does. That's not how it works. There's delays in between steps in the journey that you have to factor in. There's recurring revenue and potentially ROI based on lifetime value and recurring revenue. And I think this is where a lot of times agencies make a mistake, is when they sell their service, they go and say, my services cost $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever it is. But in that, they probably don't factor in what other expenses are necessary, and B, don't factor in any sort of projections around ROI and time to ROI for their clients. And if they can show them that, then number one, again, it sets the right expectations, right? It tells your client that, look, first of all, yeah, my services are maybe $10,000 a month, but you're still going to need a $15,000 a month marketing budget. So really, it's $25,000, right? And on top of that, that $25,000 isn't going to make you money tomorrow. Like, these parts of the funnel are going to be set up this. And then once we start driving traffic, all of this is going to start seeing some results, but your sales pipeline isn't going to fill up and turn into actual customers for another 10 days, or et cetera. If I can show them this, then again, expectations are set properly, which makes it easier for me to retain them and manage those expectations. And number two, it just makes you seem much more competent, right? Much more data driven, which, like we kind of said at the very beginning now with AI and all that stuff, the name of the game is no longer, can I just produce output? It's, can I get results? And the only way to show that I'm getting results is by being data driven, right? If I can show the data that's leading to those results, that's how I can win as an agency.
Yeah. And I think being able to, so client expectations, team, like managing expectations, period, is one of like those critical skills. If you have that, you're going to do better than someone who doesn't have it. But yeah, on the competency side, being able to tell someone what the next steps are, like this is what's coming, because I've seen it before, right? I've seen this pattern so many times, right? You don't just look competent, like you look like an expert, right? The person that they need to be working with. And so you're going to find probably your churn goes down because you're able to like point all of these little pieces out. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is the number one reason why niching down is so important. If you're, there's two paths that you could take as an agency. You can go the Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia, we work with enterprise, 100,000 to, millions of dollar contracts, in which case I'm going to build a whole team specifically for that one account and everything's going to be custom, right? Or you can go the niche, double down on selling the same system over and over and over again. And that goes back to what you just said about being competent, knowing what's coming up. A lot of times, if I take on a lot of different types of clients, helping a SaaS company generate demos versus helping a SaaS company generate free trials that then convert into paid customers versus helping an e-commerce business trying to generate, average order values and all that stuff. Like, these are so different in terms of tactics and approaches that it becomes hard to show that competency, to show that this is what's coming up next, unless you've done it so many freaking times, right? So just something to think about when you're deciding if you're niching down or not.
Mm-hmm. Are you noticing any other trends in the agency sphere as far as tech adoption or how agencies are even selling their services?
Yeah. So a big trend that we're seeing is CMO, fractional CMO. So basically the idea that you come in as a fractional CMO, and it's more of a hybrid type of model where you have a team under you. So instead of basically selling kind of SEO services or whatever, you're selling strategy first. And you as the expert are coming in and basically saying to a client, look, you could hire a CMO. CMO is going to cost you $300,000 a year. And then you still have to have the team under them and they're going to have to build a team and all that stuff. Or you can hire us. Now, the reason it's fractional is because I'm not going to be your dedicated, CMO one-on-one only with your company, but there's an advantage there. I come in with my CMO and my high level strategic expertise. You have my entire team executing on this. And basically you get the best of both worlds at a fraction of what it would cost you to build it in-house, right? Mm-hmm. So this is one of those trends that we're starting to notice quite a bit. And then the other thing is, again, it kind of goes back to what I mentioned, this idea of like really niching down to that one system where I can go and sell this over and over and over again. So, for example, I was speaking the other day to a person who the only thing they do is do marketing for short-term rentals. And basically they just like kind of like Airbnb, but like, people who want to own their own little subsites for them. Um, and that's all they do, right? They just have gone, and guess what? It just creates a referral. It creates kind of that word of mouth, that expertise of like, I know exactly what to do and I can crank it out and I can train my team, and it creates processes. So those are kind of the two core things that I'm really noticing in this space.
Now with the fractional CMOs, are they just repositioning as like from agency to fractional CMO, or is there an actual like restructuring that they're doing in-house to be able to kind of sell that offer?
It's a good question. So typically what agencies will do is they'll say like $5,000 a month is our media buying. It's what we charge, right? You're going to get an account executive or, an account manager that's going to work with your team, and they're going to build the landing page, and maybe they're going to set up the ads. Now what there is basically happening is I'm going to come in as the expert. I'm going to drive the strategy. So instead, like, it'll still be a collaborative effort, but ultimately I'm the one driving the strategy. So I'm now going to charge you for that strategic component aspect. So typically a retainer that's $5,000 is now bumped up to $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 because you get that strategic leadership. Now that really is very dependent on the type of business you're going after, right? You're not going to go after a $50 million business as a hybrid fractional CMO because they've already got a marketing team. They're already at that stage. And you're not also going to do the same at like a business that's under $1 million because they don't have the budget, and they probably don't even need a fractional CMO. They just need to make some sales, right? Where it really is that sweet spot is kind of the $1 to like $5 million range. If you're going after that segment, they typically have a very small team, but that team isn't experienced. They just know how to do some things, right? They've gotten something that worked. So maybe they have a couple agencies that they're working with, but it's kind of disjointed. And that's where you come in and kind of position that kind of fractional CMO offer.
Right. Right. Are you seeing those as two opportunities, or are there bigger opportunities for agencies that you're seeing right now?
I think that one of the biggest opportunities for agencies, especially in the kind of because of this tech world and everything that's happening, is actually there's a couple. So the first one is just focusing in on a tech stack. So being very, very diligent and saying, I only work with HubSpot, let's say, or I only work with Go High Level or whatever it is, right? So where is a very solid customer base, and what is a tool that every single one of them uses, right? And then just focusing in on that. I have friends who have built massive agencies just using ClickFunnels or Kartra or High Level, right? So that's always an interesting one because there's always so many tools coming, and there's just MarTech is one of the crazy landscape where it just never ends. The second one is really kind of thinking about data and thinking about how am I going to be data driven, right? So this trend around people have been burned so much. I can go to Upwork right now and find somebody who is going to do Facebook ads for me for $5 an hour all the way to $500 an hour, right? I can go on Udemy and I can find a course that teaches me how to do Facebook ads for free, right? So like the amount of people who have quote unquote can talk the talk, but have no real experience that are now selling marketing services. You have to now be able to back it up with numbers, with data, with proof, not just your own proof, but also proof of like, we are data driven in how we approach things. I'm not just going to sit here and build you some Facebook ads and hope Facebook tells me these things. I'm going to look at the whole journey. I'm going to be able to show you the numbers. I'm going to be able to show you what's working, what's not. I'm going to give you recommendations, etc. Right? So being data driven, I think, is also extremely important these days. And that is not a plug for Funnelytics.
I can make the plug with no guilt. I think one of you're familiar with Alex Hormozy.
Yep.
I'm sure. his value equation, where dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement on the top row. I don't know that a lot of companies in general, not just agencies, are looking at that perceived likelihood of achievement and really doubling down on it and saying, how do I just almost guarantee that people will look at my offer and say, I know they're the people to get me there. It's like when you start thinking about it like that, like strategically, then you start piecing together all these things, right? Like you would use a tool like Funnelytics to make sure you can show that data and the actual mapping. You would go to like Databox does their benchmark groups where they run these polls and they collect all this information and this data from your target audience so that you can say, hey, I know 99 other companies like yours, and this is what they're seeing. This is how you would fit in, to that. And it's just amazing. Like if I have that level of knowledge about your business, it's like you can pretty comfortably say like, oh yeah, this guy probably knows what's going on, right?
Totally. 100%.
So it's just, why are we not getting more companies thinking that way? And instead just throwing up a testimonial. Like someone said this one good thing about me once. It doesn't really have any relation to the project, but it was a good thing.
Why?
Yeah.
Again, goes back to what I just mentioned. Anyone and everyone can go on YouTube or go on Udemy or go on Upwork and basically become a Facebook ad specialist or an SEO specialist. Right. And it's also one of the easiest make money online opportunities, right? Being able to sell a service, being able to sell a skill that you've acquired. And that's the issue, is that it's getting to that stage of being a data-driven, being very systematic about how you approach things, requires ultimately years of experience of working with clients, realizing, man, I haven't gotten results for these clients and these ones I did, or whatever it is. And that takes iterations and time. And then you evolve to kind of getting to that tier of like, okay, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is the process we're going to deploy. But how many agencies really get to that 3-year mark, right? That 5-year mark where they're still going and they're still serving and they've had those iterations. Most of them have been an agency. They're not even an agency. Let's be very honest. They're just freelancers and self-employed. Mm-hmm. However, let's bucket them in the world of agencies. Most of them have been operating for 6 months, for 3 months, for maybe a year, right? They're just getting started. But what am I supposed to do? Well, I'm just gonna sell Facebook ads, right? I'm gonna do whatever it is that's gonna make me $1 as soon as I can. And when you're in that early stage of your agency, it's very, very, very easy to accept whatever dollars somebody's willing to throw at you, right? Like it's just I just want to make money at the end of the day, so I'm gonna accept whatever. I remember the first dollar I made as an agency, the guy wrote me a check, like a physical check that I had to go and mail. And this wasn't that long ago. Like, it's not like we're talking, this was in like 2015, like 2014, 2015. So it's not like, anyways. And it was like $2,000 or something like this. And I had like sold him the world. Like I had sold him a website, new funnels. I was going to write the copy. I was going to set up his ads for him. And the whole thing was like $2,000. And I was so ecstatic to make that $2,000 until like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, after like the excitement of collecting $2,000 wore off, and realized how much more work I still had to do for that $2,000 that he paid. Right. So, but that happens all the time. Right? It happens all the time. So leveling up who you go after in terms of clients, and then leveling yourself up as well are two things that need to happen.
Right. Yeah. I think one of the huge risks too of just accepting anyone's cash, especially at the start, is that while you are getting some reps in, like you were saying, right, to see who am I a best fit for?
Yeah.
There's a good chance that you already have an idea of who you are a best fit for, like just by knowing some of your competencies and what you're really good at, and what your team's good at. And if you start bringing in these people who you're not going to be able to get them a result, like they're going to leave you negative reviews.
Totally.
Right. And they weren't even a great fit. And now they're, your directory profiles and everything are showing like 4 stars, 3 stars.
Yep.
And it's like, the person wasn't a fit in the first place, yet you decided to work with them because you wanted to chase the money.
Yep.
It's like, it's just going to hurt you in the long run.
You know what? It's funny because now I run a SaaS company and I don't get to choose. It's just people come in. And it's funny because we're just dealing with this right now. We have a couple people on Trustpilot who have given us some pretty negative reviews compared. Like if I look at the other platforms, they're all very, very positive. But we went through this weird transition period in 2022, 2023, where we realized that our old customers weren't our ideal fit. And because they weren't using the platform, and there was a few reasons, but that just happened, and people would start leaving kind of these negative reviews. And again, it's just because it wasn't the ideal fit. The platform evolved; it became more expensive. They got pissed off, and all. Anyways, but that's what happens when you don't work with your ideal type of customer. That's the key there that I want to say.
I can't remember which one of his books, because he's written so many, but Seth Godin, in one of his books, talks about how he just writes off 1-star reviews because it's like, it's just not for you, right? If you gave it 1 star, you probably just weren't a good fit. So if I'm someone going in to review a product, I'm not looking at the 1-star reviews. I'll look at maybe some 2-star, but really the 3-star is like where I'm looking anyways. Right. And so, because like the 5-star, perfect fit, they're getting everything they want. They couldn't be happier. It's like, I don't care about that review as much. But it does look nice to see like, hey, if you are a good fit, we've got you covered. Look at our 1,000+ 5-star reviews. So I don't know if other buyers are doing it too, but like I've been writing off.
I don't think so. I think
reviews.
Most buyers, people love drama, man. So I guarantee you most buyers are going straight to the 1 stars to be like, what kind of shit did they say? Like, let's see what happened here. So it's just people's.
An interesting study too with they looked at Amazon product listings, and having a 5-star like product with only say 100 reviews was going to be purchased less frequently than something with like 3 stars but 1,000 reviews.
Right.
And so that people put more gravity towards
volume,
the number, like the sheer volume of reviews, which I thought was interesting too.
It makes perfect sense. I do too. Like when it's like when you go to especially in restaurants, right? Like you're going to go to you're going to look on Yelp or whatever, and you're going to see a restaurant, and one of them is like, 4.8 stars, and it's had like 4 reviews. And then you go and like, this one's 4.2, but it's got like 3,000 reviews. It's like, I'm going to go with the 4.2.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's just that enough people cared to leave a review that this place is probably worth trying.
Yeah, right? Exactly. If that many people cared enough to leave a review, either the owner is a really good marketer or most likely, or somebody cared enough.
It was interesting. So I do some consulting for just businesses in general, but it's consulting for a restaurant here in town. They're a kind of an upper scale, but I was talking with the owner who said they didn't have enough local people, or they had only really local, but I'm in Southern Maine, right? So in the summer, this place blows up. In the fall, the place blows up because everybody wants to go like leaf peeping. And so what we did was just they would always bring these little chocolates out with the slip. And so we just put a QR code on the bill that says, hey, if you enjoyed your experience, leave a review. And the chocolates were there. So we had like this law of reciprocity, right? Like I'm giving you something. Can you just give us a review?
Totally.
But within a week, we tripled the number of reviews for the restaurant, which then started bringing in more people, and they'd look up restaurants near me and stuff like that, which was pretty impressive. Anyways, just
there you go.
It was getting into a fun little case study.
Hey, you know what? Sell that as an agency and sell that to every single, that's what we mean by systems. Actually, get results.
Exactly. And that was actually something we used to do at like, we'd be very particular about how we timed our asks for those reviews. Or even at certain parts of the project, being able to say, hey, what are your concerns right now?
Right.
And so and getting ahead of them and letting them know, like, I want your concerns so that I can fix them before they become a problem.
Right.
And we get ahead of them. And if they have no concerns, it's like, well, would you be interested in leaving a testimonial right now? And and giving them, what you want. But yeah, you can bake that into a system and literally show someone like the step-by-step process. How do we do this?
Exactly.
And sell that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, I got one more Funnelytics focused question for you before we go to our final two. Seeing all these trends and everything else, what's the future of Funnelytics looking like?
You know, Funnelytics has always had the same vision since day one. It's taken us a long time to get to a stage where the product has caught up to the vision, and now the product is extremely powerful and solid. But we're still not quite at our vision. But the vision has always been around Funnelytics is your central command center to help you plan, measure, and optimize your marketing strategies. It's always been what we're all about. That's what we focus on. That's everything that we do in terms of our product roadmap. We never want to focus on building stuff. So, really the real cycle is plan, build, measure, optimize. But build, there's so many tools out there that build and write emails and blah, blah. So we'd rather be platform agnostic and allow you to pull data into our tool. So we always kind of look at it in that cycle. So what features can we keep adding that's going to help facilitate that cycle for marketing teams, so that Funnelytics does become their command center. So for example, plan. Well, can we do like real-time collaboration? Forecasting is a really good planning feature that we just released. On the optimize side, can we build an AI copilot that can help you decipher your landing page data, and as opposed to you having to figure it out yourself, AI can now do these things for you and help you with this. So but we're always constantly thinking about it in this way.
So much value that to be had within the platform. And so I'm just thinking of other ways that I've used it in an agency, but now how can I use it with my clients in order to help them get similar results? Anyway, final two questions for you. First one being, what book do you recommend every agency owner, leader should read?
Oh, wow. I did not anticipate that question. So let me just look. I don't have many books here. In my books are all at home. Off the top of my head, my favorite business book. There's two right now. The one I'm reading is called Winners and Losers. Very, very good because it's a book that is unlike any other book that talks about entrepreneurship. It's really talking about how entrepreneurship is really about losing more so than about winning, and like the struggle of entrepreneurship. So if you're a real entrepreneur and you've gone through the shit that entrepreneurship can be, you will read this book and you'll be like, oh, I'm not the only one. Like this is it's a very relieving book in that way. And it helps you kind of keep going and say, okay, this is a good thing to keep going. The next one is Ready, Fire, Aim. Ready, Fire, Aim is an incredible book that talks about the journey and how to think about going from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and 10 to $100 million. And the way it's broken down and written, I think it's by Michael Masterson. It's just a really good book that makes you extremely excited, very tactical, to the point. I love that book.
Yeah, I love the metaphor of Ready, Fire, Aim.
I know.
So I love the book, but I was using that one even when in the Army.
Yeah,
it was just, you can take ready, aim, fire.
Yeah,
it takes too long. Let's get so quick at just by iterating so many times, right? That we get that muscle memory, and we can just
exactly
fire, and you're pretty close, and then we can just
exactly. But then you'll aim and you'll hit it,
right? Yeah. And you're closer than you were, and generally speaking, or I don't know if the metaphor still works, but once that first round goes down range, right, the enemy is going to be ducking their head a little bit, so you got some time to keep iterating. It doesn't have to be perfect that first time. Anyways, last question is, where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to learn more about Funnelytics, simply put, just go to funnelytics.io. You'll learn about what we do and our platform there, and you can sign up. And if you want to learn more about me or follow, and I post quite a bit on LinkedIn. That's kind of my platform of choice. I ignore Facebook and Instagram and all those other platforms. So LinkedIn.
Fair. All right. Mikael, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
That's the show, everyone. You can leave a rating and review, or you can do something that benefits you. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Agency Forward on Substack. You'll get weekly content, resources, and links from around the internet to help you drive your agency forward.